Hello.
Hi, I've got the cat on the table with me. And she's purring away. Look, you can see the size of her, Shirley. She's so big.
She's a biggie, isn't she? Oh, I love black and white cats.
I know. Her name's
Oh,
Hopper Lily, and everybody thinks she's a boy because she's a bit androgynous looking.
she
But
is huge.
she's a bit big. She's picked up weight, unfortunately, over winter, but once summer comes and she's catching things and she's out and about, she likes her food so much. Oh, hang on. Jumper, hello.
Oh,
Yes. And
but
hair.
is she, I mean, I couldn't see it because you're in a dark jumper, but is she kind of low hanging fat, like belly fat?
She
Okay.
walks and her belly goes like that. I've had hers for 11 years and she was 2 when I got her. She was a rescue and she was already had a hanging tummy then. And I don't know if it's from having babies or, but I've never met a girl with a tummy like that before. But it's
Oh.
so nice and soft. You can like squish it and it's really lovely.
Yeah, my in-laws, had a cat, died a couple of years ago, but it was quite overweight with the hanging belly thing going on, and they always used to say, "Oh, he's on a diet," but literally every few minutes, it was demanding food, and they'd wander out and go, they'd put something down for it. But I thought, I've never seen that cat not asking for food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really difficult when you have a dog or a cat that wants to eat the whole time.
Yeah.
Because she would just eat like 10 meals a day if
Yeah.
she could. Um, yeah, and we do. I mean, sometimes we give in a bit, but we're trying to be a bit better with her. But obviously, I mean, the reason she's fat is because we've let her be fat. Um, it's more to do with us than her, and she has picked up. I mean, my best friend Carol was here on Sunday, yeah, and she said Hopper's looking pretty big, and the boys are looking pretty big. So I think we're all looking a little bit fuller after winter.
Whoops. Yeah.
We went for a dog walk on Sunday, which was really lovely. We did almost five miles, and I mean, we used to do that on a regular basis, but I haven't done it so long, and the boys were just completely kaput the next day, lying on the sofa. And of course, they've only got little legs. Do you know
They
what I
have,
mean? So
yeah.
they probably walk like 20 miles. But yeah, I think we all need to move a bit more and eat a bit less.
Yeah. Oh, I'm one of those annoying people that's done both of those things in complete contrast to what the rest of the world is doing. I always have to do things the opposite way, Rose. It's my way. Contrary
What? So
Mary.
you've been moving more and eating less?
Yeah, I've lost weight and yes, and I walk more. Yeah.
That's lovely. That's good to hear. I know there are some people like you out
I
there.
know, I know. I'm told it's poor etiquette to tell people because when you hang up, you're going to be wanting to stab me in the eye. It's just annoying.
Easily remedied. As soon as that sun comes back, I'll be out there, but not yet.
Yeah.
Good for you. And the Hopper, do you hear that? Shirley's been walking and losing weight. She's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, she's cat. Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for
She's just
her.
thinking about her next meal.
Yeah, well, I understand that feeling. Mm. Well, we can do anything we like, or we can kind of spread over the next couple of weeks. I'm just going to do a recap of stuff that we covered, um, but we don't necessarily have to do that. We can just kind of recap on where you are and what you've achieved and what you've found of value and anything you'd like to recap, and kind of just gently start thinking about, okay, where do you go from here? Which is different to the conversation we might be having you know, that I mentioned
Mm.
last week.
Mm.
Just thinking in terms of yourself, of, you know, what's the next
Yeah.
thing. So
So first off, I want to say thank you for putting me in touch with Layla. I had my free consultation with her this morning.
oh great.
Oh my God, it was so, what's the word? Illuminating. I don't know if that's the word. Revealing. Fuck. Just in 15 minutes,
Yeah.
I got off there and I felt on such a high. So I had fibroids, which is why I had my hysterectomy.
Uh-huh.
And she said, did I know that fibroids is often because of estrogen dominance and too much estrogen? And she said that my symptoms sounded like too much estrogen. And of course, the HRT I was given last year is only estrogen because that's what they give you when you have a hysterectomy and you don't have your uterus anymore, but you have your ovaries. So basically, I said to her, I just want to know really where the brain fog and overwhelm. I said, I'm working with you and it's working perfectly fine. It's lovely. I said, but I want to know whether HRT could actually help for brain fog. And she said, yeah, without a doubt. And after chatting to me for a bit, she says, it sounds like it might be low progesterone and low testosterone as well. And the testosterone is what gives you the fuzzy, cloudy, woolly head, or
Yeah.
too little of it. And
Yeah.
the progesterone, which I can never say, which is the overwhelm, anxiety, and mood. Because I said to her, I don't have hot flushes. I don't have like heated things at night and sleeping. And she said, well, you won't because you've probably got shitloads of estrogen, which is why you had your fibroids. That's not a problem, but yet that's what the HRT is that is recommended for people like me from doctors.
Yeah.
Me estrogen when that's probably not what I need. So
Yeah.
she's going to send me a link that we can do bloods, and she's going to test the estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and then also the DHDA for cortisol, and then take it from there. But she said she's one of the few menopause specialists that do think that we need, that women would need testosterone. Why wouldn't you? Because it's naturally you have
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
obviously everything's only been tested on men, so you wouldn't have the same dosage, otherwise I'd grow a beard. But when I look at the dominance of estrogen, it's all the things I was having, which was bloating, serious PMS. I just got worse. Chris says he prefers me angry because I used to cry all the time. Serious PMS, fibroids, uh, irritability, and something else, which is all the stuff that, you know, has been a problem, was a problem for quite a while.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
knew? Who knew? She's just the way she described it, like the fibroids feed on your estrogen to me because you've got so much. So they just like fat little alien creatures munching away, more estrogen, more estrogen. I mean, it just makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really glad that you had that experience with her, because I took a bit of a leap in the dark. Like, it looked like they were the right people, that they were doing things that I felt comfortable with
Yeah.
recommending as a supplement or an alternative for some people. You know, some people just want to do that.
Mm.
And I haven't had a chance to talk to her personally yet. I've spoken to her colleague because she's obviously too busy doing the calls, speaking to people. But so that's really good. No, I'm really pleased.
No, I think they're good. And I said to her, I said, you know, I'm working with Shirley, and it's been life changing and amazing, and like everything's being sorted really, except for this brain foggy thing. I'm still, you know, looking through this dirty lens. And I said, you know, does it have to be one or the other? Or I'm sure, you know, surely we can combine HRT and Shirley and food and exercise and things. And she said that's exactly her thinking, that it is this holistic thing. She said there's no ways I would want you to take HRT and that's it, without looking at your food or your exercise or your sleep and stuff. But she recognizes it's quite hard to do those things when you are feeling shit. I mean, after speaking to her and my sister, actually, I thought, bloody hell, I'm doing all right for somebody who is brain fogged the whole time and
Yeah.
has I'm always clawing back energy because I'm really not operating at not even 50%. I
Yeah.
don't think. And she said, yes, she wouldn't just say that to a person. It would have to be a combination of things. She said, but maybe the HRT, and she talks about bioidentical, which is nice, not the horsey urine one.
There's the bio-identical. Hers is, I think hers is body identical, isn't it?
I thought body bio is all the same thing.
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it
Ah.
is. I think there's a subtle difference. Though, as you know, hands up, what do I know about HRT?
Exactly. What do you know, girl?
I know nothing. I know.
You.
I'm just basing it on the conversation I had with them when I was talking, and I thought they told me that there was a difference, and that people that are in the bio-identical camp get very oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't find the word, but evangelical, you know, like
Yeah.
it's the one way, it's the only way, and so that's why I shied away from it, because I thought no, they'll get into a competitive, you don't want to do this, you want to do that.
And she's saying body identical.
I think so, but I may have that
look
ask about face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, I felt very comfortable from the first minute of speaking to her. Good. You know, when you just know as well, somebody you can relate to, and just the way she spoke and the way she presented herself, and she just made sense. Like there were lots of things just going, like, like I understand. I can understand now why I've been going through and feeling like I have, and why certainly the HRT last year didn't do shit for me and actually just made me more loopy, because I've probably got enough, and it's not what I need.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's what a doctor would give you.
Yeah, it's like a one size fits all. It's like, here's a coat. Well, what size is it? Well, it's a coat.
It's a coat. Wear it, bitch.
Yeah.
So we'll see. She's going to send me. I keep on checking my email because I spoke to her this morning at 11. I'm like, I just want to book those fucking bloods and be there tomorrow. And you know, I just want. And who knows? And I'm so excited. I'm trying not to be excited because I'm just thinking, oh my God, this is going to be the final, you know, the cherry on top. I mustn't get too excited either. I just feel like I'm onto something.
No, but I think it's going to be a really good combination. I really
do.
My
God, Shirley.
Yeah, and obviously I'm as invested in how well it works for you as anyone, because you know, I'm already thinking, and the whole reason behind it was to put together alternative packages so that people could have, okay, here's the package working with me, but here's, if you want to also explore the HRT route, that there's like an elevated package,
which is one.
And obviously it won't take them through the whole thing, but it would take them through, you know, the initial consultation, the bloods, the whatevers, to get someone to that place where they at least know they've got a prescription in their hand. So
exactly. I think it's great, and I'll definitely, I mean, you know, we can stay in touch anyway, but keep you updated, informed of what happens.
Yeah.
That I'm really God, she just knew what she was talking about.
Well,
unlike my doctor that Googles while you're there, or looks in their big book and flicks through, you know, to find. It's just, and it's not their fault. They don't get the training.
Yeah.
My God, they shouldn't be prescribing or even you. And this should be available to everybody. You know, I'm going to have to pay privately for bloods, privately for the consultation. And yes, it's affordable, but it's affordable to me. It won't be affordable to a lot of people.
No.
And actually, everybody deserves it.
I couldn't agree more, but I don't think it's going to happen because, you know, the NHS have their standard thing. It's a bit like dentistry or eyesight. You know, we just accept that we're going to have to pay for that.
Yeah.
It isn't right. It really isn't right that so many women are just going to have to suffer. I mean, we pay tax on bloody tampons for millennia.
Oh my God. And that, I went shopping today, and I was trying to decide whether to get this like bath salts thing. And I was thinking, oh my God, £4.50, that's expensive. I don't know if I want to pay that for this little bottle. And then I walked past the tampons, and I remembered how much I used to spend on that and
Yeah.
pads in the last year, because I couldn't go anywhere without being stocked up. And I went back and bought. So
Seems like a small
I
price
thought
to
I'm
pay.
probably saving like 30 quid a month anyway.
I know.
Yeah, it's
I know.
crazy. But I'm very excited
Good.
to see what's going to happen. So thank you for putting me in touch with her.
No, it's all right. I'm glad to have found her, and I think, well, I don't think I know. Like me, she's only set up in the past year, so
Yeah, she's recent. Yeah,
and that's why I really want to get her free enough that she can provide some little short snippets for within the group of that side of things. But she's, I think she is recruiting some people, but she's obviously got to get to that point where she's got people in place.
Yeah.
And then she'll have some time to.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be a good collaboration. It's a good growing, and because she's in the beginning stages, like you say, she's probably just doing it all herself and super busy. But
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll settle down at some stage.
Yeah. Anyway,
who knows?
So you put a lovely post up the other day.
I sure did. It's so weird about the faith and hope thing, because when we started this conversation 10 or whatever weeks ago, and I'd moved, I had hope, and I moved from hope to faith. Somehow it hadn't really resonated with me. I hadn't really truly made the connection. I was thinking the hope was out there, and the faith was out there, like faith in the universe and faith that things will be fine. And then just very recently, in this last week, it really switched, and I thought, no, it's about belief in me and hope in myself and faith in myself to make the changes, and that things can change. And I think that's always been the thing up until now. I think life is just, it has and it hasn't. I feel like life has happened to me, or lots of things happen, and it doesn't even occur to me that I can change it and make it more pleasant, or go this way or go that way. Something, a work day comes up and I think, well, that's how it's got to be, and I go do it. And actually I can decide, well, no, this is what I'm going to do and this is what I'm not going to do. And it never really occurred to me that I don't think it's ever occurred to me that I can do that. And not even because I don't deserve it, so it's never occurred to me. It just didn't occur to me that you could do that. What the fuck? Why did nobody teach me that or show me that?
Well, because I don't think many people do. I think so many, you jump on this treadmill at whatever age, quite young, and then you're just on it, aren't you?
You're reacting the whole time.
Completely. And you buy into everything that says, oh, okay, this is how you stay on the treadmill. Okay. You never question whether actually you need to be on that treadmill, whether there might be a nice path that you could walk on.
An alternative, yeah.
And that's men and women. It's not just about menopause. It's not just about self-esteem. It's as if we've been handed this script, and we believe that's the script that we have to fulfill. Like, that's you. There you go. That's your life. And we don't really question it. We just kind of learn how to juggle it.
I'm really stumped to hear you say that it's not even a gender thing, because of my upbringing and my dad in South Africa and my parents' relationship and stuff. I really thought it was gender specific. And for a long time, I suppose, just subconsciously, I have felt it's because I'm lacking, not good enough, or I don't deserve it, or that's other people. But it definitely, the fault lay with me. Then I went through a few years of anger toward my mom and dad because they never really schooled us. I feel like we were just left to run around crazy. We were never really shaped and formed and herded like parents do now, probably too much. But yeah, I'm really surprised to hear that it really is a general sort of overall thing. I mean, I've got a girlfriend that just laughs at me at how I don't question things. And it's really strange because so many things I do question. There's certain things that, of course, I will. But it seems, and that's embarrassed to even say it, it seems like the majority of stuff I had just never questioned. Somebody says this on telly or on the road or to me, or this happens, and I just accept that's how it is. It was when we were at uni and we were taught to critique and look at research and ask questions or whatever. And Sam always laughs at me that, you know, I'll just believe whatever I read, and because that's what they say. And I still do that to an extent. I don't have I think it needs to be developed, a questioning mind. I need to go with every single fucking thing. I need to ask, but is this what I want? And who says that? And where's this coming from? And why? And I mean, it sounds exhausting to live like that, but yeah, I'm really just blown away by the fact that it's not gender specific and it wasn't just my fucked up family.
No, you can rest assured on that.
I can forgive my mother for something she's never done anyway.
No, I mean, obviously I choose to work with women in this space because I think it's really important. But, you know, I've worked with many men and they feel the mantle of, you know, they still feel like I have to be the breadwinner. I have to do the job that I hate because otherwise, you know, how do we hold up the household? And they're still carrying those values of the 19th century, even though we're in the 21st, and they don't really know how to let go of that. So yeah, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, and I see it in Chris as well. Every now and then something will happen. He says, yeah, but it's my job to provide for you. And I'm like, no, dude, seriously, you don't have to. But for him, it's important that he provides for me.
Yeah. So they feel woefully inadequate no matter what happens. You know, there's a deep vein. But the thing with men is they also like quick fixes. That's the other reason I don't choose to work with men, because at least women will invest the time, whereas men go, oh, I'm fixed now, great, lovely, off I go.
Oh yes.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Come back. Yeah, but they also they attach, they let go easier, they attach differently, they're a whole different kettle of fish, really.
Yeah, but focusing on you, what's if you think back, maybe you have joined these doors, but I think when we had the conversation about the work that you were doing, delivering the training, and that moment where you shifted from this is what I have to do because this is what they expect, or what I think they expect, to this is what I'm going to do because this is how I can best put myself into it.
Yeah, and I must write this shit down because I don't remember stuff. But yes, that was that was a turning point for me, was making the workshop work for me, the content basically, and not just delivering whatever, you know, stuff is out online out there, but making it work for me. I think that was really probably the first. Yeah, I think that's the first time, really. I think I'd started it with a talk. My first talk last year was really based on what I felt I wanted to deliver. And these workshops were definitely the first time I've ever done workshops that I created, put together the content that I thought, me, nobody else, I thought would work best.
Yeah.
And that was I can't think of the word, because, you know, menopause.
But it's interesting you saying, I don't remember it, and you're writing it down now, but you don't consciously remember it, but actually, I would say, wouldn't I, that you have been unconsciously remembering through laying down those markers. So as you've done it, do you remember our markers in the sand? It's strengthened, it's given you more markers in the sand that have started to
Oh
connect.
God, I hope my subconscious remembers the stuff, because
That's,
honestly, I feel like unless I write it down and I revisit it and I look at it, then I've kind of forgotten
no,
learning.
no. I mean, I know you probably still don't believe me, but you didn't have to write down a single thing that we've covered in the
No,
entire
you're right. I don't believe you because I don't, because damn it, I like to read back and revisit and think, oh yeah, and I kind of feel like I lose it if I don't.
Yeah, I get that, and you need to do what's right for you, but you honestly don't need to do it, because everything we're doing is it's the actual changes you're making in how you do things, and how you construct your days, the conversations you have with people that are different. Because once you do those, and you do it again, that's how we naturally learn anyway.
And I suppose I thought I'm worried that I'm not doing it again and again because I haven't looked to remember what I wrote down. But in actual fact, the work that we have been doing about my days
Yeah,
is the work
it's the
around that, is the work. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
the practice of that. Yeah.
yeah,
It was amazing. I mean, last week, I think we spoke on Tuesday, and I'd taken Monday and Tuesday off. I cancelled my talks last minute. Um, I just got to a stage where I just thought I can't anymore. And I had such a good week. I did loads of pottery, loads of sketching, went to work on Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday was the start of the bank holiday weekend, and I thought about my OT work, and I just condensed it and made it tight and got away with all the extra shit, and it was just really clear about what I wanted. And I even something simply like logging out of my work email account on Friday, because every time I'm on the computer, the tab is open. I could check to see, and I had a few emails saying, I hope you're feeling better and we'll reschedule, when you're fine. And that was kind of pulling me and causing stuff in my head. And I just logged out of that and I decided, right, that's it. I'm completely free from that. And Tuesday morning, which is today, 9 o'clock is when my day starts, and I'm going to answer the emails. These are the dates I'm going to suggest, not not Friday, because I missed it last week, so now we've got to quickly
yeah,
catch up. Fuck that.
yeah,
So the first one is next Friday,
yeah.
which is lovely, and the other one is actually going to have to be at the end of the month, because that is when I want to do them.
Brilliant.
And I even thought of things like I have two very different weeks that alternate. I have one week where I work the weekend at the garden centre, so it's 4 days in total, and another week where I work 2 days during the week at the garden centre. And I thought that is when I've got more time and less physically tired, that is when I'm going to do the delivery and the content and stuff. I can answer emails and do a quick workstation assessment anytime, but for delivery and stuff I've got to work towards, I'm going to make it when it works for
Yeah,
me.
brilliant.
I
Brilliant.
know, I know. And I was just like, yay! I felt good. I felt good all weekend about it. And it's funny because I'd spoken to you about it before, saying, oh, I'm quite good at, like, I won't look at my emails after 6 o'clock and stuff. But I think what I was still doing, I was making the entire week, Monday to Friday, still about occupational therapy,
Mm.
even though I wouldn't look at my work email before 9 or 6. But actually, I don't need that long a time, because I don't need 7 hours. What am I going to do? I don't need the 7 hours. And why am I looking at it on my days that I'm at the work at the garden centre? It needs to be very, like you said, specific. These hours on that day, not 9 till 6.
Mm,
These hours in that
mm.
day, these hours in that day, and then the overwhelm just disappears, and I know what I have to do. And I was motivated, and I did all my emails. I've just got to do invoicing still, but I managed to do loads this morning and feel good about it.
Yeah, yeah. Lovely. It's just remarkable, isn't it? I mean, and you're where you think you're not remembering, but you are, because every time you tell the story about how that worked for you and what you did to make it work, that's where the learning is retelling the story.
I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That is where the learning is, isn't it?
Yeah.
You say it out loud. It's incredible, this thing that you've taught me of just really scaling down, your to-do list or whatever, and choosing the one thing and breaking it down. And even with that book that I posted, The Female Brain, I listened to her podcast. Well, she was a guest. Really interesting, really, really, really interesting. And I thought, I've got to get the book. Started reading it yesterday. I had a slight meltdown for like a split second because I thought, oh my God, there's so much I've got to do. Like that diet and exercise and certain foods for certain hormones. And I just wanted to run away and cry. And then I thought, you know what? Just stop. And all I'm going to do for the next month is try and have a little bit more vegetables. That's it.
Brilliant.
That's it. Not even every fucking day.
Brilliant.
Just try and have a bit more veg.
Yeah.
And that comes from the stuff that you've been sharing with me. Because normally that would have just been huge overwhelm of how I've got to do all these things, and it's got to be perfect, and you've got to do it right, because otherwise there's no point in even trying.
Yeah. It's all your fault.
Yeah.
It's all your fault.
And it's us because we can't cope. It's all down to us. It's some fault with us because we're not able to follow the book to the letter. Meanwhile, nobody's going to follow that book to the letter. Not even she is going to be able to. And she wrote the book.
Well, yes, indeed. And I hope I've been suitably honest on my journey that, I still have shit days where I think, oh, fuck.
Yeah, you must. And people want to hear that.
Yeah. And days where I question, do I know what I'm doing? And well, do I want to do it?
And do I want to do it?
Yeah.
Yep.
All
Me
of that.
too.
But yes, it is just coming back, and partly it's conscious, but it's that movement from unconscious to conscious and conscious to unconscious. What you're describing, where you're coming up with these where you're going, oh, overwhelmed, and you said, oh, it was for about a minute, and then you went, oh, fuck that. Whereas those markers are where your brain gets really, really good. And I don't know what it was I was reading the other day. I'm reading a novel. It must be in a novel I'm reading. No, I'm not. I'm not writing a novel.
Are you writing a novel? Tell me.
Freudian slip. Anyway, it doesn't really matter where I read it, but I liked the way they use the analogy of the pathways, of neural pathways, and how they say, if you think about menopause anxiety, it's like a roadblock. It's like, uh-oh. And you can see the queue of traffic like miles ahead, and you think, shit, how do I get out of this? Yeah. And then there's these local people that know the area, and you see them like taking little diversionary routes, and you, at first you don't know any of those, but as you become a local, you go, oh, actually, I know how to avoid this. And you go left and you go right, and you go around the back and around the corner. And
I like that.
And you know another way to get to the destination.
Oh my God, I love analogies. That's just really worked for me, and the whole visual thing as well. Yes, and you're not going to know all those back routes immediately. You're going to maybe follow the one guy and see how it goes, and you'll remember it the next time, and you might just do that one for a month, and then you'll realize, well, that one's getting a bit stuck, so you need to divert. And very nice.
Yeah. And so those markers are your kind of, oh, hang on a minute, wasn't there I'm sure there's a route round the back. Do you know what I mean? You're not quite sure, but you kind of have a notion that maybe, and then as you take it and you go, oh yeah, I was right, then you're embedding. And that's what you've been doing without realizing you've been doing it.
Doing
That's
it,
what you've been
yeah.
doing.
And that also then relates to what we said earlier about the questioning things. You know, things don't have to be a certain way. So there's the route, there's all this traffic. Normally you just sit in it and suck it up, because what else are you going to do? But actually you can question it and ask yourself if there's another way, and off you go.
Yeah. And you can ask so many questions. Like, one is there another route to the same destination? Another is,
I still want to go.
do I still want to
Do I
go?
even want to go there?
Is there an entirely different destination? You know, there's like all kinds of questions that come up. But with you very firmly in, to stick with the metaphor, in the driving seat of, you know, not, oh God, oh, I've got to be there because someone, blah, 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 blah. It's
Yes.
just a moment. Just hold your horses there. I'm thinking about what I want. Do I want to spend the next 5 hours sitting in traffic? No. And that's the re-empowering thing. Whereas what we tend to do, especially when anxiety and overwhelm are high, is we spend the entire time panicking about the fact that we're stuck in the traffic and we're not going to get there, and what they're going to say and what should we say, and
we don't want to fucking go, but we're just so stuck in that,
yeah,
place. We're not even asking what it is we want. What would be
No.
the most helpful thing
Yeah.
for us? I think it's snowing, or those leaves.
It could be snow. We had snow. We had sleet here earlier.
No, I sat outside in a dress with Carol on Sunday. I mean, it was 12 degrees, not quite, you know, Costa del Sol, but it was nice to get our legs out. And then we've just had snow and wind. Yeah, snowing. So crazy.
Love
Not
it.
in the East, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so glad to, yeah, I'm glad that you reminded me about the relearning, and it is sinking in. Of course it is. I don't have to panic about writing all these things down. And the fact that I am consciously applying, like I really thought about work, because I wasn't looking forward to the talks. I wasn't looking forward to replying to my emails. I didn't want to do OT anymore. I thought about giving it up. And I thought, okay, instead of this black and white, all or nothing thing, what would make it work for me?
Yes.
I would, you know, what needs to change so that I'm willing enough to do it? Or,
Yeah.
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 And the changes that I've made are exactly that.
Yeah, which is brilliant. And you can keep on doing that. You know, I obviously, when I'm working with my coach on business coaching, it's a continuation of a similar way of thinking, which is, okay, here's what I want to do. Here's the hours I want to be doing it. Here's the way I kind of want to do it. Here's the transformation I'd kind of like to deliver. Okay, what's the best way to do that? Oh, by the way, this is how much I'd like to make. And then pulling it all together and going, how can I make all of these pieces fit without going, but they don't fit, you know, because they will fit. And there is a way to make them fit.
Yeah. And I like that sort of from a point of energy wise, because we only have, you know, so much energy each day, which changes as well. So you're directing your energy to where it's going to be most effective and going to give you the biggest return, instead of what I used to do was just like energy all over and not have structure about it, and being pulled in every direction. So yeah. God, it's amazing work, isn't it? It really is just.
It is. Yeah, I love it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to quickly kind of whiz through almost a checklist recap, which we can go into more depth next week if you want.
Okay.
But I kind of want to do it so that you'll realize how much of it you actually have taken on board. So the first session we did was all about stress buckets, which you will have studied and delivered a gazillion times.
Absolutely.
You know, but the key elements that we looked at were, you know, where stress is created, looking at chronic stress, busy job, responsibility, you know, never mind the menopause, just all the stuff that goes on, and then defining, being clear that stress is a physical response. Because we get a bit caught up with, you know, we're either thinking all
we
my
forget it's that.
Yeah, or it's all my body, but it's both. It's a physical response to an emotion.
Yeah.
And that physical response causes a whole host of symptoms that, when you've got the lovely added bonus of menopause, are exacerbated. You know, our heart rate goes up, our sweat production goes up, our digestion is rubbish, our sleep is affected. We can't be calm, you know, because we've got serotonin.
No, and your thinking is gone to pot, and you can't think straight or remember shit. It just makes it worse.
Exactly. And one of the things there that it'd be interesting to have the conversation with Layla about, because I think she was saying from what you said that it's testosterone that's the problem that connects.
Foggy thinking, the clear thinking is the testosterone.
Yeah, so cortisol plays a key part. So from my perspective, where I stand, cortisol is a key problem maker, if you like. And there's a phrase I shared with someone who is a GP who specialises in hormones. She said, "Oh, I haven't heard that. I quite like that. This cortisol makes you stupid."
That's interesting.
Which it does, because it prevents you thinking clearly. That's its job. It's like, don't think about this. We don't need to think about this. Just get on with doing something.
Yes, because cortisol is a stress hormone, and when you're that stressed, you can't think clearly. Yeah, it makes you stupid. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we've got all of this unresolved surplus. We got, you know, we're in classic fight or flight, blah, 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 blah. And then what happens, especially in menopause, is, well, you know, and anyone who's struggling with anxiety, but especially in menopause, because your logical brain is going, you know, I can normally cope with this. I can normally cope with this. What's the matter? What's changed? And if we don't realise that something's going on fast enough, and we don't get the help that we need fast enough, and there's all the life events that contribute to chronic stress piling in as well, then we start embedding the neural pathways that drive and deepen that negative thinking and that anxiety.
So you're just really embedding all of that if you don't deal with it.
Yeah. So, you know, we're using all that lovely neuroplasticity, but for the wrong purpose.
Wrong way.
It's embedding what we don't want.
Yeah. And it's like you said, I remember right at the beginning, you know, menopause tends to happen around the time at a certain age when our parents are ailing, or marriage comes to an end, or the children leave, or, you know, there's lots of, or illnesses or stuff. There's a lot of kind of midlifey kind of shit that takes place. And then, of course, we had COVID as well, but there's lots of midlife stuff that happens around the same time that you might be going through this. It just makes it all worse.
Yeah, it definitely does. And it's not just even us. It's, you know, it's our friends and our close friends and our colleagues that you suddenly see at that age, they're going through it. And that impacts on us too. It's like, oh my goodness.
Absolutely. And I feel like I don't have energy for all my friends that are, you know, I've got a couple of friends that are really impacted by it, and I just can't support them because I don't have the energy to support them. We all on each on our own at the moment. I can't. And that is stressful because I want to, and I love them, and you know.
I know, but you've got to look after yourself, you know. So we get caught up in that place, and then we're doing that whole worst case. It'll all go horribly wrong, you know, and we go back into the past, you know. It all went horribly wrong here, and well, why didn't we do this? And yeah, we know all that. So we start to realize that thoughts are things. So we start off with a physical. There's this physical emotion that contributes to thoughts, and then the thoughts become as if they are real things, even though nothing necessarily changes. We could just step into a little test tube or a bubble. But once we've created those thought processes, they just keep on going, keep on going, keep on going. They're feeding off themselves.
Feeding off all the negativity.
Yeah. So the idea at that point of going, right, just stop thinking about all that rubbish, let's think about this instead, is like, Like, how can I do that? I can't do that.
Very true.
Exactly. So you've been there. So oh no, I don't want to.
Been there, done that.
So that was the stress buckets, which you know really well. And then we looked at whether I use this terminology or not. We looked at calming the inner critic. In other words, telling that part of our brain that says you can't do this to just fuck off and multiply.
Absolutely.
In the nicest possible way. And shifting the focus of your attention onto what you do well.
That's been a big one, and that I remember was really lovely when I did my talks or my workshop, and you asked me. I'd never asked myself that before. You know, I got to the stage where I recognized I'd done a good job, or, you know, I suppose maybe just because I got through it unscathed, maybe that was my equivalent of a good job, really, you know, still standing and breathing. But actually the specific thing of what did you do well, what is almost personal, specific to you, but you are the one who delivered. What did you do well? That's a good question. Yeah, and that's one I try to do with Chris at night as well. What did you do well today? But I really like it. I think it works better if it's really focused and it's small and it's narrow and it's a particular thing, because it's easy to, I did well, you know, I did well.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, generic.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important to be specific about what I did well.
Would that be specificity?
Oh, don't you? No, I thought of that the other day. I thought we got away with specificity, and now you bring it back to haunt me.
You see, it was there. It was there. So there's the evidence. I told you it's there. You remember stuff.
Specificity. Let's just call it specific.
Yeah, you don't have to say it, but there, you just demonstrate exactly what I said, that it's there. You may not think you remembered it, but you just demonstrated you remembered it. You're quite right, because what was happening in the past, what most of us do, is we trawl through, you know, what could be better, what didn't go so well, which in growth mindset terms is a valuable tool set, but you can't, in my view, you have to park all that growth mindset stuff, lovely though it is, until you get the anxiety stuff sorted, because otherwise it will drag you in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Are you saying it's because if you ask yourself, so what didn't go well, then you kind of harp on that and focus on that?
Yeah,
that
the
becomes
anxiety
your
will cause you to, instead of going, oh, that's interesting, I learned something there, I could do that better. That's not what your mind is taking you. It goes, oh, you did it, you did this wrong, you did that wrong, you did the other wrong, oh my God. You know, it turns it into a whole big story. So what you said about being specific about what you did well is just going, no, let's look here for a little while, let's look at this.
That's so amazing, because again, we're not taught that. You know, you get, with everything we do, you know, delivering content or exams or whatever, so where didn't you do well and how are you going to improve on that? That is the mindset. But everything is what you didn't do well and how you're going to improve on it. And I can understand why that would be a factor and important, but if that's all we do, I'm just realizing, whereas asking myself what I've done well makes me feel good about myself. Also, it makes me, I recognize that it's not just namby-pamby, like I did, a specific thing well, and that kind of gives you the energy and the juice to move forward, to want to do more, to be energetic. It just feels better. And of course, then you could look at things that maybe didn't go that well and what you could improve on. But maybe always asking yourself what you did well first before ever looking at what could have been better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you shifted, you did do that. So it's what I call focusing on the what versus the not. What did I do versus what I didn't do? And if it helps to have another analogy, which is why I don't understand why it's not ever taught this way. One of my sports, the sport I did when I was growing up, I did competitively with swimming. And I know that the same is true in any sport, but in swimming, as you get good, clearly you're getting good in a general way, you're kind of building skills, building strength. But as you get to that elite level, you then will start to work on, okay, what we're working on is dives, and you dive and you dive and you dive and you dive to get the best timed dive ever. And you get that and you nail it. And then you might work on turns, but you don't go, oh, yeah, but your arm, I mean, you will go, your arm could be better, but you're not going, your arm could be better, you did this wrong, the turn wasn't right. You know what I mean? It's like, you really,
You focus.
yeah, on the
Yeah.
good stuff.
I like that analogy again. Yeah, and get good at it. Yeah.
And then when you got really, really good at the things you're pretty good at already anyway, then you start picking off and getting better at the things maybe you're not so good at.
That's really lovely. And again, I think that is a thing for most of us, that you don't want to be a beginner, you don't want to put yourself out there, you don't want to try. It's easier to say, oh, I didn't do that well, so therefore I'm not going to do it, or look, it is crap because I can't do it. But allowing yourself to be a beginner, a learner, and to practice. And I mean, I've read enough stuff about sports psychology that yes, certain people have certain aptitudes, but they wouldn't get where they were if it wasn't for practice. It's actually mostly mindset and practice, and so much is aptitude. Which is really people wanted to say illuminating. There's another word, but I can't think of it today. I like that. Focus on what you what you can do, and be really good at it, and then move on.
I mean, the perfect example, probably because he's so famous, would be Usain Bolt. So he was a man who was ill-equipped physically to be stuck in the starting block and to do a good start. Like, he was too big. Now, if you took the typical business analogy, they'd go, we need to just keep working on your start because you're clearly not doing that very well. Instead of going, geez, you run like a bloody gazelle. Let's just keep doing that. And when you've totally nailed that, well, we might work on your start bit because you'll be even better. But why would you start at the thing you can't do well and ignore the thing you do really well? That's the thing. Start.
That's how we've been brought up, isn't it? It's all about where you're not doing well and what needs to improve.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's a fucked up way of thinking, and it's so ingrained in society in everything we do.
Yeah. Well, I think it comes back to this. I've kind of written about this in my book, where education is tied in with churning out workers who are expected to work in factories, to follow orders, to do the same thing, to do it to the same standard. Our education system was not designed to get us to be individual or creative or fulfilled. It's just
that sounds like that. What's his name? Ken Robinson TED talk. Is it
right.
Ken? I mean, he speaks about that the whole education system is still built on from after the industrial age, and what we needed then, and we still. Anyway, let's not get into that. But
no, let's not.
Yeah.
So then we looked at language a little bit. I'm not sure how much we dived into that. We probably didn't. But how words like should, try to, hope to. Oh yeah, we did do a little bit, didn't we? All sound lovely. Well, should doesn't. We know. We all know about the shoulds. But trying. Trying, we're not really doing, are we? And just recognizing how that impacts on the way we think.
Yes. And that's very true. easy just to say things because that's how people say it, or you've heard it, or whatever. It's quite nice to change. But I haven't actually caught myself. I think I did post a few weeks ago. I'd caught myself with thinking something and the language about it. I haven't done it for a while, but I hope that's one that's in my brain somewhere.
It will be, and the fact that you noticed yourself doing it demonstrates it was in your brain. Yeah.
Even though I didn't open my book and read it.
Yep.
It still worked.
It does. It does. And then we got into what you've been doing really recently, which is prioritizing you, how you want your life to be moment by moment, not 5 o'clock on a Friday evening and once a week in July.
Yep.
Yeah. But now, in this moment, this week, this hour, and you've really taken that on board and done that incredibly well. And the bit that you, I think, if there was a wobble, and it wasn't a wobble, but a kind of was around what other people think, like, oh yeah, but they'll think this, but they'll think that, but if I say this, but I think you've really made big strides with that.
I think so, and consciously as well. I mean, over the weekend, I put a couple of posts up on Instagram, which I don't usually. I wanted to use Instagram for my pottery and just put it up as a record for me, and then don't, because, you know, my pieces aren't fabulous or they're not finished or blah or whatever. And just this weekend, I put up 2 posts about and I'm doing it for me. It's hard because people like it and comment, and that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind. Or maybe I can turn the comments and the likes off. It's not about that. It's about me being brave enough to put myself out there and to have a voice and to say, this is what I do.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel that's really been a shift for me. I kind of feel like there's more coming. Yeah. It's in the pipeline, definitely.
Yeah. And it never stops coming. I think that's the thing. But once you're on pathways that feel right, like it's more exciting. It's like, oh, what's down here and what's over there? And I wonder what happens if I go this way. And it becomes more exciting instead of terrifying. It's like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which moves us into the perfect day, which we talked about, which isn't Lou Reed, much as I love that track.
Good song.
Yeah. And letting go of guilt, which.
Yeah. And guilt's a good one because that's when I have to revisit often because of my mum. And Chris has pulled me up on it quite a few times. He said, you know, she runs rings around you. She's got you around her little finger. And it's true because she's like going to be 83 and she's in a care home and she's in a wheelchair and she never used to be. It's only been the last 3 years and she doesn't have family close by for her. So I can get into this real pity party for my mum, even though she doesn't feel the same, and feel sorry for her. So I forget to treat her as a grown woman, and I treat her as just as my mum, that I'm the daughter and I must do everything for my mum, even though it doesn't suit me or it's inconvenient or it's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I get to revisit that guilt thing quite a lot. Even yesterday, I spoke to her in the morning, and she's usually quite optimistic, but she had a real downer yesterday, and I felt completely drained. It actually, I mean, it wasn't her, but it spoiled my rest of the day. I only woke up feeling better this morning, but part of that was guilt that I'm not there to fix it, to make it better, whatever. And then as the day went on, I thought, I've got to stop doing that. She's a grown-ass woman. She had 4 children. She lost 1 child. She worked. She ran a household. She's got grandchildren. Seriously, I think she can fucking cope. I mean, I think she'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's really something I have to revisit all
Well,
the time, because I just throw things at her to make whatever she wants, she gets from me.
right. So maybe
Because
that's
she's my mum in a wheelchair, and it's wrong, you know.
yeah. Well, that's probably the piece then that we'll focus on for next week.
Yeah,
I
that would
think.
be. God, I didn't even think that's a thing, but that would be really. That would be really good, because I thought I'm just being a lovely, great daughter, but actually I'm not really being authentic or true, because I'm just, even if I'm cross, even if I'm irritated, even if I'm angry, even if I don't want to, I just put on a nice smile and I do it
Yeah.
because my poor, poor mother in a wheelchair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, as you said, you're carrying that little infection through the rest of your day.
Oh, it was a horrible day.
Yeah.
Not a horrible day, but I had had such a great weekend, and Carol was still here, and I could just feel my energy. You know, like that day you saw me just like drained? It was like that, but it
Yeah.
lasted a few hours and I couldn't get out of it. And then I thought, well, I'm just going to sit in it. Maybe I need to sit in it instead of trying to
Yeah.
change it. And then, yeah, I felt better this morning, and I'm having a great day. So, but
Good.
yeah, that would be good if we could actually
Let's do that. Yeah.
have no boundaries. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Close to my
it's about
mother.
boundaries, and it might be worth. I know you know her, and I know I mentioned her before. It might be worth exploring a little bit of the Byron Katie approach in relation to your mum. Not that I'm an expert, but I like the idea of maybe you could, you know, she has those worksheets where you have to get very petty.
That's good. I'm going to definitely look into that. I think I need to do some work
Yeah,
around it. Yeah.
yeah. So we might look at that. I think that would be useful, because I'm certain I've seen. I mean, she's got videos all the time, but I'm certain I've seen one, and mother daughter problems are different. They're not all the same, but I did see one with a young woman who, you know, she was in tears about her mother, and her relationship with her, and I watched her go through that. So
Okay. I'll definitely look it up. Thanks.
yeah. But other than that, I'll see you Friday.
All right. Look forward to it.
Likewise.
Thank you. How are you getting on with your book? Have you submitted? Have you done drafts? Or
Yeah, the book's been submitted. Yeah, it's all good. I must get back to them actually, because there was one thing that they asked me to check with a charity that I'd borrowed a framework from, not to entirely regurgitate, but to say, you know, here's a good framework and this is why and this blah blah blah. And it's fine, but I think they might be waiting for me to say that it's fine.
so you need to. So what are they I don't even know how this all works. What are they proofreading, or what's happening?
Yeah, no, I didn't either, Rose. But it's all,
I don't know what the process is.
yeah, I was slightly concerned because as I was going back in, so I've got a commissioning editor, so she must just fast read, and she just came back and went, yeah, all looks fine, enjoyed reading it. And I'm thinking, oh great. So then when I was going through her little proposed edits, which were really small, I noticed a couple of typos, and you know, we're talking about 60,000 words of text, and I'm discovering, I'm thinking, oh flipping heck, she hasn't read this properly. But apparently production control are then the next stage. So once the commissioning editor has signed it off, then they proofread.
I've always thought that that's a job I would enjoy, because I enjoy reading and I'm quite good at spelling. So I've wondered about it before. It must be an interesting job to do. Well, as long as the subject matter is interesting.
Well, yes, yeah, and as long as it's the author writes in a style that you find interesting, otherwise it could.
Yeah, true. So what's the next step? They proofread and then
they do that, then they'll publish, and it's effectively their book. I just get paid a percentage. I don't really
that's
own
amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah,
well,
I can only
you.
Pardon?
I said, well done you. That was a lot of work.
Yes, a lot of work.
Remember to ask yourself what you did well.
Yeah, I will, and I have.
Okay. Shush.
Is Chris just come in? The dogs, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I've got to get one written on menopause anxiety. I've got to get that done.
Oh, good. Well, you know a lot about it, so that should
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, I'll probably self-publish that one. Maybe, I don't know. I'm deciding.
Yes, do.
Yeah. Well, it'll get written one way or the other.
That's exciting. All right, I'll speak to you on Friday.
Yeah, lovely.
All right. Thanks, Shirley. Have a good week.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.